God is said to sometimes have a still small voice. Oftentimes, during the beginning of basic and during some of the hardest moments of basic, if you pay close attention and recognize your direct inner song, you can see in that encouraging letter from home, a squad mate taking the hit for you, or even a casual member getting down on his deck with you to knock out 50 to sometimes 70 push-ups in a row. That is experiencing God. Few of us, and most certainly me, have never been humble to the level we were here. I specifically remember one night when my squad leader was taking prayer requests, asking God to humble me. And through the chain of events that occurred afterwards, I was very thoroughly humbled. I was broken, and then I was broken some more. And even when I was so sure I honestly had nothing left, then my eyes would be opened, time and time again, to His oh so precious grace that none of us ever deserved. To you who have traveled here to Big Sandy to observe these men, my comrades, I will tell you one thing. Something most of you have probably all experienced many times. God is faithful. He will never leave you, and there's no limit to what He will do, where He will go, and the mountains He will move to reach and possess your heart. He will never stop as long as you have breath in your lungs. And no matter what you have done or where you go, He will always hold out hope, forgiveness, and grace. This Tuesday, as we were about to leave formation, our senior drill sergeant gave us a quote I hope never to forget. Our greatest fear should not be of failure. It should be to succeed in things that don't really matter. And it made me ponder the moments I felt like a failure because I couldn't iron a pair of pants just so. I realized that the deep embedded fear of failure I had was bringing me down. During the responder challenge, my team and I were tasked with digging a 10 by 10 foot deep hole in the sand. Sounds easy, right? Let me just tell you that if you ever find yourself in this predicament, just run. It'll be a very bad day. We worked and sweated some more. And every time it seemed we were almost done, the walls would collapse on us again. But we kept going and kept pushing until the casual member at that spot said it was complete. Before we went on our way, he gave us these words. Life is not going to be all rainbows and sunshine. And I don't care how tough you think you are, it will kick you to your knees. Because it's not about how hard you can swing. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving. Or as my drill instructor told us this week, you may not be able to iron a chambray perfectly. It just means that it's your job as a man to take the smoking and give that everything you have. There was no better example than the one who came down in the most humbling form he could possibly come in. He lived a life none of us could live and took the consequences that none of us had the strength or integrity to take. He was beaten with whips, thorns were thrust into his skull, and he was nailed to the cross. And the God who created the heavens and the earth turned his back on him. We only experienced a fraction of the thing called suffering compared to that. And yet I had moments where I was crying out to God, telling him I cannot do it without him, and he never let me or my comrades down. Not once. When we felt like we were losing grip on our will to fight and our resolve to keep going, he got us to the next day and gave us grace when we least expected it. To the man I lived the last 9 weeks of my life with, I charge you, never to forget watching each other break down in preparation for Saturday cleaning. Never forget the pain you experienced day after day that racked your body. Never forget the failure. Never forget the tears. Never forget the hopelessness and darkness. Never forget the hunger. Never forget the moments when you were just seconds away from throwing in the towel. Never forget what it felt like to be on the deck, no matter how hard you tried. Never forget the smokings. Never forget the suffering you went through on the endurance hike. Never forget it. Because if you forget the fire, you forget where your Father brought you through. Thank you.